Ladies and gentlemen, the album Please Don't Cry. Interesting album title, by the way. We got to get into that. The artist, our friend Rapsody, back on the program.
Yay.
Hey, Rap, what up?
What's up, though?
How you been?
I've been really good.
Yeah?
Been really good.
You look really good.
Thank you. It's coming through. I had to work to get here, though.
You had to work on looking good or feeling good or both.
Both.
What was the order?
They together, parallel. You know, I was doing inner work, and then I would get my ass up in the morning, and get in that gym.
Yeah.
Really? What kind of regimen were you doing in the gym?
I was doing weight training and cardio.
Wow.
Yeah,
Bright and early?
Yeah, I like to get up. I told my trainer between 8 and 10 a.m. is my start time. Anything before 10 a.m. I get up at 5, 6 in the morning sometimes, too, when I'm on the West Coast.
You'll wake up that early, huh?
Oh, absolutely. I was disciplined.
Are you a West Coast person now?
I'm adopted West.
You are?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
I'm East Coast of the heart, but I'm adopted West.
And how long has it been? How long have you been living out there?
No, I don't live there.
You're just there?
I'm just adopted.
Okay.
How often are you there, I should say?
Man, maybe 50% of the time.
All right.
Wow.
So a
In
good
and out.
amount.
Yeah. In and out always.
You've had such an interesting career, and please, okay, we'll go back, but tell us about Please Don't Cry. I want to make sure we get the talking about the new album. Tell us about Please Don't Cry.
Yeah, it's my 4th studio album. It's my most vulnerable and personal album. Like with this one, it was like I realized I hadn't given people enough of who I am and had a real connection, like on a human level. It's not about how good you could rap or nothing. Like, yo, what are you doing in your life?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what this is. Like, you know, this is me being my most free, my most confident, and just sharing.
And that's scary too, right?
Yes.
Yes. You could
I'm
say
on
it.
the
Hell
radio.
yeah, it's scary.
Yeah.
Especially because I feel like as we get older, we start really having those quiet moments with ourselves when we look at the mirror and reflect on like our choices or choices that we've made in the past, mistakes, and how we grow from them. So when I saw your album title, I'm like, oh, we going deep.
Yeah. It's so ironic because it's Please Don't Cry, but it's all the reasons why you should cry.
Right.
Like, allow yourself to be human.
Of
Because we
course.
all really, really live in life right now. And it's like, on social media, all you see is the highlight reels, the good stuff. And I'm just like, let's be human for a second.
It's funny, we all talk a lot about like being vulnerable. Like it's a big conversation point. It's like mental health and be kind to yourself and do that. But a lot of it's just sort of talk and not like really doing it.
Yeah, the practice of it
is different.
It's different. It's a process. It's not an easy one. It's not a comfortable one. And it's not supposed to be, because growth is supposed to make you uncomfortable and shake you up. So you have to really want to do it. Like, you have to want to get to the other side of whatever you're going through. And I wanted and needed to, you know.
Yeah, you just did the illest thing. You don't even know that you did, bro.
What'd
You
I
just
do?
did something ill, bro. I'm telling you, this is crazy. So I've been working on behind the scenes, but I do talk about it some on one of my podcasts that I'm launching. I'm launching a podcast soon about my personal struggles that I went through and how and where I landed, and I want to talk to other people about theirs and how they got there. And literally, I've been debating, me and my wife, every day, and some of my audience, and we've been talking about like what the name is going to be. And it's been a real struggle for me to come up with the name, because I really care about this one. And I think it's really going to matter for me. And the name that I've been leaning towards has been The Other Side.
Oh, that's hard.
And you just naturally, while talking about it, without any thought on my mind again there, and you were like, it's about how you get to the other side of that thing. That's literally where I'm at with it.
Soundbite.
So you just gave me a gem. You just landed on the intro. So what when you talk about it being challenging to talk about certain things in your life, is there one quintessential core issue for you that's like the hardest thing to address or most important thing for you to address?
No, I think just any part that it's the things that's closer to you. Relationships, like love relationships, family relationships. Those are the things that I want to protect, the people I want to protect, the stories. For people to see that I'm not perfect and I do things that disappoint myself sometimes and other people, or that I'm exactly fine with and other people may not understand or judge you on. And especially in the climate we live in where everybody feels like they have authority to give an opinion on what you go through,
Yeah.
as if we all aren't going through things. So it was that part that was really uncomfortable of giving something that, you know, you give it with intention of, I just want to share this, hoping that it'll help somebody, you know, my story, and people use it in a different way. So it was like, I ain't giving you nothing, you know.
Right.
This is me. You don't get to judge me. Only God does that.
Right. But if you put stuff out there, it's hard not to feel as if
Yeah,
people
and
will judge.
That's the beauty of the work, right? To get to the other side,
Right.
because you realize that I get to create my own experiences, and I can observe without taking on emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
I get to see, okay, I see where you are. You know, I've evolved so much. You know, I'm just looking down, like, hopefully you'll get here. But I don't have to take it on emotionally, because I understand that it really ain't about me at the end of the day. It's about whatever insecurity you have.
Right.
So
And hopefully you land in a place where talking about the things that make you feel uncomfortable, when you feel like you've moved into a different place, talking about those things is actually, it gets more comfortable.
yeah, so
Like it takes. I remember when I was dealing with stuff, I would talk about it like very openly around my parents, and they'd get like very uncomfortable,
Yeah.
and I'd be like, "Guys, it's okay. This is what
okay.
happened.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is just what my life was. Like I'm not running from. If I run from it,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do the same things that landed me in a bad spot in the first place,
right. So I gotta lean in and face it head on.
and keep talking about
When you
it.
were working on certain tracks on the album, did you kind of come across that, whether it was with somebody in the studio who was surprised that you were touching these subjects, or someone's like, wow, you're brave enough to say this because I'm not ready yet?
Yeah, you know, when you're doing it, it's easy because you're by yourself.
Yeah.
But it would be like phases. I would let like my closest friends come in, and 2 at a time. You know, because even songs that are not on the album, I had a lot to like really share, and I would just press play and walk out the room because the energy was just too much for me. But I had to do it and able to get comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, while I was going through the process. Now it's like, I don't care. Like I could
It's
play
done.
anything. Yeah, I could say like I've kind of healed in that way. But yeah, the first time it's like, ooh, this is really naked.
Right.
know? And then they hear it, and you know, your friends, they want to ask you questions about it. I'm like, ooh, I've never shared this.
Right.
But the more I did it, you know, and it would be friends, and it'd be like some family, not my mama though. And then it'd be like, you know, my manager, and then you play it for industry people, and then you play it for fans here and there. And the more I did it, the more comfortable I got, because you play it and then people come up and say, I experienced something like that.
Right. You start hearing more and more in stories that you're like, we're more alike than we are different.
Right. And it's like you go into it knowing like you can't be the only one, but to affirm it, it's like, okay. You know.
Were you inspired at all by Kendrick's last album? Because he really dove in on the personal.
I started this in 2020.
Oh wow!
March of 2020. And it's funny, when his album came out, I was telling the team, I was like, yo, we was on like the same kind of path and journey. A lot of us at that time, even how he talks about crying on his, and mine is called Please Don't Cry. And I'm just like, people gonna think that I listened to his album. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna make mine. It's like, nah.
I'm gonna make my crying album.
Yeah, no. I ended tour right before the pandemic, and I started working on this in March of 2020. Yeah, and I had the title maybe 2 months after that.
Were you like, wow, he went pretty vulnerable on that? Because he definitely says things on that album that were like, I was like, oh, I was never aware that these are the kind of things that he was dealing with.
Yeah, I was proud of him, you know, for doing it, and it just affirmed that, you know, look at y'all both growing at y'all in the same place, kind of. And there are like 2 or 3 songs that I didn't put on my album because it was so crazy how much we were aligned. Like his auntie song. I have a song about my transgender cousin. You know, like there were like 2 or 3 songs that I had that he also addressed on his record, and I was like, I'm gonna keep it off.
Really, that's interesting, because that would be. Normally I would say that's silly, and I'd be like, well, it doesn't matter. But I do see if it's something that's that close topic wise in hip hop.
It was really, really close. I
But
still
maybe
want to
one day
share
we'll
it.
get it. Yeah, I was gonna
I still want to
say.
share it, but it may be in a deluxe, because I still think even my perspective
It's
is
different.
still somewhat different,
Right.
even though they're so in the same world.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy that it took like so long and people acting so ignorant before we could acknowledge these stories of trans people. We were really operating in a world where people were acting like these stories did not exist.
Right.
And then all of a sudden when it, now we're able to, because society is finally not going to, hopefully, beat you down if you express about it. It's fascinating.
It is.
How long this has been a thing that just wasn't being talked about.
And it goes to prove too, like, just the work that community has done to advocate for themselves.
Yep.
It's made a difference. It's been a long road, but it's made a difference. So, yeah.
Speaking of the aforementioned Kendrick, have you been enjoying the last few weeks of hip hop? Or, it's been giving us stuff. We literally, I won't even pretend, we have not stopped. It has not stopped being an everyday thing for us.
No,
we're close.
Yeah.
I think we're close to it not being every day probably. But this week was still, we would still like every day we'd get to another part of Not Like Us and be like, oh, did you realize that when he says blah, 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 he's saying blah, blah, blah?
And they wouldn't be like, I never knew.
No, Ebro today, all this time in, Ebro today goes, yo, did you guys know? After we'd already all known this, Ebro's like, yo, did you guys realize that when he says fan, it's an acronym? We were like, yeah, bro, we do. We know. But yeah, have you enjoyed this from the sideline?
It's exciting to me to see two of the elite go head to head. I hate that I had to go personal, but the door is open. But it was definitely exciting, and I think it's good for the culture as long as it stays in the music. But I'm happy that it's over on my release week. I'm not gonna lie.
Exactly.
Like, all right,
enough.
Give me a beat.
Yeah, can we get a moment here?
Give me a beat. I love you to death, but let me breathe out here.
Yeah.
So
did you get worried when it started getting super personal? Did at any point you start to worry about it?
No. The fabric that I know.
Just because you know of the, because you
I
know
don't
one side
Drake,
so well.
Yeah,
right.
I know one so well. Like, it wouldn't make sense. Like, no. I know him. It's all about the music and the art, and we've learned so much from Tupac and Biggie. Like, he would never. So, yeah.
How do you feel about this week? Another argument we've been having separately is about like the greatest battle records of all time, and I admit, you may see this differently. I kind of fall on the side of like I never considered Hit 'Em Up to be like a great battle record. Like I thought of it as like a nasty record and a big record and good in a really in a very visceral sense. But like I never put it in the conversation with like The Bridge Is Over and Second Round Knockout. And like I never did. And then like this week it came out on multiple lists as number one. And I was like, wow, I never.
It's so scathing.
It's so scathing.
It's also like, to me though, right? Because as someone who grew up in the West Coast at that time, it was so direct.
Yeah. Right.
The most direct you
Maybe the most ever, yeah.
But it was also a time where it's like, we know Tupac as a revolutionary, as someone who, was so versatile. But this is the I don't give a fuck Tupac. Yeah. Tupac was ready to be like, yep, fingers up. And it was such a shock to the world when it happened because it was just so like
in your face.
In your face, direct, and this
Raw.
is what it is.
And I love it.
You're a big fan? So you're a big fan of Hit 'Em Up?
I mean, I'm a big fan of Pac.
Right, period.
So, yeah. I mean, I hate what happened to it. I'm not going to say I'm a big fan because that battle.
Of course.
And that's another part of it for me. That's another part of it.
I'm not going to say, I'm a big fan. The idea of, just being competitive and raw and honest in music. I love that.
Right.
As long as it stays in the music.
Yeah.
Right, which is like, that's my point also. It's like the world's biggest asterisk of all time. You know what I mean?
As long as it stays in the music.
Right, and so like in this case, like, well, it was the definition of not being that way. I guess I kind of view it as like, I love Pac. Like, did you watch the recent doc series like from like 2 years? It was 2 years ago now already?
The Dear Mama doc?
Yeah.
I haven't finished it.
Okay. It's as you continue to go through it, and you already know, you do your homework. You already know Pac. Yeah. But like it brought me back to like all the reasons that I first connected with him.
Yeah.
And then it it ends up reminding me that like the Hit 'Em Up era to me is sad. Like it makes me sad. Like to me, Pac was off his square. Like he wasn't in the best place. He had so many different things happening. And if you really go back and look at it, Biggie wasn't about it. Like Biggie was always sort of reluctantly a part of it, but you could tell had this like, we're friends. Like I don't even want this energy. And Pac ended up in this weird place where he's at death row and he doesn't really trust everyone, and it's
Super
a nasty
paranoid.
energy, and he's
Yeah.
paranoid. So I guess call me just like a square, but like I end up sort of associating all of that, and it makes me not enjoy it quite the same way.
I guess I understand where you're coming from when you put it like that.
You know what I'm saying? When you see Pac they have the full, on YouTube, they had the full House of Blues show. I don't know if you've ever watched that. The whole show is there. Yo, Pac's energy was it was just wild. Like, it wasn't.
cut through.
It really cut through. It was so interesting though, like, but it's also what made him charismatic and compelling is that he had these different sides.
Yeah.
And like 1 minute you're getting like breathtaking poetry with historical context, and the next minute it's, you fat motherfucker, that's why I fucked your wife. And you're like, oh my God, jeez Louise, bro. Like, but yeah, I was never worried about this one going left until this Drake stuff started happening at Drake's house. And then, of course, I'm not thinking it's related directly,
But the energy.
But energy. And I start worrying about the internet.
And it was kind of like that with Pac and Biggie, because I don't think it was so much them, it was everybody else.
Yeah, they weren't.
The media.
Right.
And now, it becomes East Coast, West Coast. And they like, we just battling on music. Like, hip-hop has always been that. Like, that's how hip-hop was created. That's why we have breakdance battles and DJ battles. It was all about, we not going to kill each other. We're going to put in the music. We not going to fight. We not going to knife it up. So it's like, again, when it gets out of music and everybody else tries to make it something that it's not, But
in this case, it seems like it turned out pretty dope. I mean, listen, I'm sure if we were sitting with someone here who, instead of being sort of, TDE indirectly affiliated, we were talking to someone who was OVO indirectly affiliated, they may view it from a slightly different lens.
I don't know why.
No, you don't know how.
I don't know how, yeah.
Because there's only one way.
It's only one way. It's just, I'm just a big, if you take the L, take the L.
And that's
like,
it. Yeah.
You fought. Like, we love that you got up and fought, but you took the L.
It was brave to fight, by the way. To
like,
be on that on top of the game and be willing to scrap.
Like, I love it. That's what made it dope, because they're both elite at what they do. They approach things differently, but they're both elite. Somebody gonna take the L. It's okay.
Right.
You live to fight another day.
That's right. Like Friday. What's the coolest thing you've gotten to do over the last like five years-ish or so? Because like we talked about this last time you were here, but I've known rap forever. And then over the last half decade or whatever, you've really become this sort of cultural figure. You're at everything, and you've performed in the coolest spaces, and you've done ill songs and features. You just collab with Erica.
Yeah, that's up there.
I was about to say, you got to collab with Erica.
Were you guys in the studio together?
No.
Because I always love that experience. I love when people eat out. Yeah, so I was curious when I heard it.
We weren't in the studio together, but it was still a lot more personal than other things like that people send in, because we worked on the song for about 8 months together. And like she would FaceTime me, and she would just sing me melodies sometimes, and she'd text me lyrics. So it was still a collaborative thing, and even just to talk and grow a friendship around it.
Right.
Is that how the friendship started? Was working on the collab?
I mean, I've known Erica for a minute, but I never had her number. So, but she would always show love and send advice. And if Ninth called and like, yo, I'm thinking about this rap, like she was always like there to be supportive. But to like have conversations and text her and go hang out while she DJ at the house, like that's new, and that's the beauty of it. So
that's so cool.
Yeah. So that's up there because I value that.
Right.
Yeah.
That relationship with her.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful human being, and like she's one of my biggest inspirations. So
she literally is exactly who she's supposed to be.
Y'all, through and through.
I mean,
through and through. What you see is what you get. Beautiful heart, like super intelligent, dumb, creative, iconic. Like
very like connected in her. She's just the best. Shouts to Erica. So what else though? Because you've paid tribute to all-time greats. So talk about
the Kennedy Center honors for Queen Latifah. That was a moment. Like I was nervous. I ain't even gonna front because they had been trying to get at me for a minute, and they had the wrong contact. So they hit me up a week before. So I was like, oh, I gotta study this song and make sure.
What did you end up doing again?
I did Just Another Day, and I did a poem that someone had wrote over one of her favorite songs. So yeah, but to be in that space with the people that were in that space, I was like, ooh, it's tight in here.
I know.
Like, but it was a beautiful experience. Something I didn't have on my list of things that I would get to experience.
That's so fire.
That was dope.
Yeah, has it been surprising for you to be like to enter sort of the lexicon of, you know, the great MCs period, and also sort of the sorority of like women in this game who are just truly respected for the bars? Because we've talked about this stuff before too. That is still, to me, a recurring issue. Value on women with bars first.
Yes, we still working.
Still work. It's still a work in progress. It's
Very
still a
much
work in
so.
progress.
A little closer.
But like you're in that sorority though of like the ones, you know, from all the way from, you know, Light through Kim through you, like people who can truly spit. Yeah, are you ever surprised that you're like in that group, or was it something you always knew you'd end up in?
It's a place I always wanted to be. But, you know, my feet are still on the ground, so I always take a minute to, like, pause and be like, yo, we're here. Like, me and Light talk probably every other day, and Queen Latifah and Erykah Badu, and, you know, I email Lauren sometimes and have conversations with her, and it's just like,
Whoa.
to think about, like, a kid, and, you know, it could be surreal for me. Like, I appreciate it, but I also want to live it and enjoy it because I work so hard to get there. So, you know, it's a balance.
Do you ever get frustrated? I do, even though it's not remotely my place to. I do have moments where I'm like, yo, are we ever going to get bored with just like complete over-the-top over-sexualization all the
They're
time?
already bored. It's already here. You know, people, the labels are missing it, but people are bored. They are like, okay, even when you overdo something and over again, it doesn't cut through anymore.
Right.
Like, it's, okay, I've seen this. I got a bar on the album. It's like, okay, this is like taking a bath every day. Just see it every day. It's not special. It's not special.
Like when Madonna, you remember when the Justify My Love video came out and Madonna was in it, or maybe it was the Vogue video. I forget which one it was. Madonna's wearing like see-through, like literally see-through top. At that time, I remember being like, oh my God, I can see her boobs.
Yeah.
This is insane. What is happening? That was 35 years ago. Now, like every time you open Instagram,
Yeah, I got butt in my face.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm like, all right.
I got a butt in my
and to
face.
your point, let's remove the judgment part.
Yeah, it's
How
no-
does it just? It doesn't cut through anymore.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, when Kim did it, it was so authentic and it was so raw and it was spaceful. It's like, whoa, got my attention. I see you. But now it's just like, the thing that makes it bad is because it's just everybody's just a cookie cutter version of each other. And when it's that, there's no authenticity in that. And I don't know how you connect with people when it's not authentic, you know? So it's just like, I don't feel it.
Do you
It's not
feel
that I'm
like-
judging it. I just don't
feel it.
it.
It's just not hitting.
Right.
'Cause I love Cardi because that's very authentic.
Right.
Yeah.
But all of it isn't. And, you know. that's
Do you
just
feel
what
like
it is.
some of the younger girls are getting caught up in like, oh, this is what the label sees them and like
Yeah,
pushing them to
definitely.
go in this direction?
I mean, I think it might be part of that. And it might be part of because they already see it. So it's in their mind.
They feel like this is what they have to do.
Right.
Right.
You know, it's some man, like, I remember when I very first started to get into the thought of music business, I was looking for a manager, and the first thing he said to me was like, oh, put a skirt on you and heels. Like, it's part of the patriarchal system. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Some
like,
of it is just built in. It's baked in.
It's
It's
just built
America.
in, and you have to advocate for yourself and be like, I'm not doing that. You know, all the interviews, they ask me my first advice, and I tell them Guru and Knife sat me down and said, define the line that you are not going to cross, where you're not going to lose yourself. You have to define it. You have to know who you are and how you want to show up before you enter this business, you know? And once you know that, you know your path and how to brand yourself and how you want to show up. Otherwise, it's easy to get reeled into that, you know?
And it's interesting you brought up Cardi, because Cardi certainly does the sex stuff.
Yeah, but it's-
that's not her
it's-
brand. But Cardi,
That's who she is.
She cuts
Part of her
through.
life.
Yeah.
And she cuts through because of the personality.
The personality is real. Like, it's not fake.
And she came into it being like, yo, I'm a stripper. Watch what I do. This is my whole thing.
Yeah,
If
but
you-
she's funny,
and then
charismatic.
and
that's what took her to the next
more than
place.
that. Yeah, and she's so much more than that. So she gives you all the spectrum of who she
All
is.
of it.
She loves politics. Like, she's smart. Like, and that's dope.
So dope. And then if you only take one piece from that and you're like, I'm just going to do the ass clap. I'm just going to go ass clap.
Right.
I just don't think that's enough. You can do that as part of what you do.
You can do
but
it.
Can we just add a little? I'm sorry.
And do it because you want to do it.
Right.
Like,
Not because,
it's
but
not
the
what
problem is
I
the
wanna do.
algorithm. The algorithm will lead your whole life, and your algorithm will start telling you. But yeah, when I clap the cheeks, that's when I see my view count go up, and that's when I see my.
yeah, but at that point, it's just entertainment. Are you really having a strong fan base?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I could be entertained by anything all day. That doesn't mean I'm connected with it and I'm invested in it.
Spending money on your music,
Yeah.
going to see your show.
Yeah, no, we want real. Like, that's it. Whatever that looks like for you, but we just want it real.
So when did you have you always, or when did you get into sort of like the fashion side of things and being a little, let's be honest, Rap, a little fancy schmancy. Like you say so much.
Fancy
You're a
schmancy.
little fancy schmancy these days.
But it's still you, which is fine.
No, it feels
It's still
it
very
feels
much
authentic to you.
B-girl.
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
root
yeah.
of it.
I've always loved clothes and dressing right, but I am from Snow Hill, North Carolina, and I tell people, like, we didn't have any of the, like, designer brands there. We had a mall with regular degular, and when I was broke in the rap, I would go to the mall and I never really understood or had a place to figure out my style. I didn't know about like getting seamstresses to make you something. So when I started working with Misa Hilton, I learned so much about the fashion world and how to find myself in it. And once she gave me the tools and the jewels, I was like, oh, baby. Like, now I know how to find myself and put myself together and introduce people through clothes. But I always loved clothes. I could just never find what I wanted.
And Misa's such a legend who will
icon.
Yeah, like she's I think a lot of people forget how much she has created, like just profiles for artists, like completely took who they are and like amplified them creatively into these amazing looks that are iconic.
Yeah, and that's her gift. Like, she never tries to change who you are. Like, this is how I would like to see you. I remember when we first started working together, like, she went and watched everything and studied and saw what I liked. And it's like you say, like, she just takes who you are and makes it blossom, and elevates it. And that's what's dope.
And so then it ends up then fashion ends up being something like you look forward to doing also. Like, it's fun.
I love it. Like, clothes is my thing. Clothes
keep
and
your
shoes.
clothes?
Sometimes. I rent some things I gotta take back.
Right. Sometimes you rent and take it back.
Yeah,
Sometimes you
I had
keep
them
stuff you love it.
showrooms. Yeah, I buy things. But yeah, I love fashion.
Well, you're doing it well, Rap.
Thank you.
You're wearing it well. Please Don't Cry is the album.
Yes.
Check it out. Let's play this single with Erykah Badu.
Yeah, that's my favorite joint on the album.
Literally, and
Yeah, absolutely.
all right, here we go. Brand new music from Rapsody and Erykah Badu. Rap, thank you. You're welcome every
Thank
time.
you,
As you know, you have a
love.
permanent subscription. You come by whenever you want to see us.
I appreciate you.
All right, Rapsody, ladies and gentlemen.